After studying this module, we shall be able to 1. Discuss the nature of rural community, 2. To study rural sector in farm as well as non-farm sector, 3. To know about various key areas to be employed for rural development, and 4. To explore various schemes launched by the government for rural development. There are two Indias, one which is present in villages, that is Bharat, and the one which exists in urban area, that is India. For the growth and prosperity of the whole country, it is necessary that both these Indias converge. In rural India, majority of the people still live below the poverty line. Many issues need attention in rural areas like health, education and sanitation. As it is well known, nature of India that it is an agrarian economy. Even then, our productivity is amongst the lowest in the world. Agriculture growth is critical and needs to be picked up. But India must go beyond agriculture and it has to make a real impact on the people living in rural areas. Primary contributions to rural business and economy are made by agriculture, handicrafts, fisheries, poultry and dairy. The apex body which is involved in formulation of policies, regulations and acts related to the development of rural sector is the Ministry of Rural Development. The nature of rural community. The different features of rural community are: 1. Joint family system. The rural community still retains the joint family system where the oldest male member is the head of the family who takes all the major decisions in the family. All the other family members have to abide by the decisions taken by the head of the family. All the family members are engrossed in agriculture where men plow the land, women harvest the crops and children graze the cattle. 2. Role of neighborhood. The rural community is characterized by closest neighborhood relations. In rural community, everyone pays attention to the sorrows and joys of the neighbors. 3. Religion. The villagers have great faith in religion and God. As for their crops, they depend upon the nature and they have fear of natural ups and downs. 4. Intimate relationship. People living in rural areas lead simple life with a sense of unity and intimate relations among them. Their customs, traditions and culture are common. They participate in each other's celebrations. Let us move on and discuss the growth of rural sector. The growth of rural sector depends upon the following factors. 1. Topographical factors. These factors include land, water and climate. People would like to live in a place where soil is fertile, water is safe for drinking, bathing, cooking and irrigation, and climate is not extreme but normal. 2. Economic factors. These factors include conditions of agriculture, economy and cottage industry. Agriculture is base of rural sector. The growth of rural sector depends majorly on the condition of agriculture. Therefore, economic and social conditions of the farmer plays an important role in the growth of rural sector. The farmers must be in a position to buy good quality seeds, scientific implements and good breed of cattle. Also, the presence of cooperative societies will boost their position by providing capital. For landless people living in rural area, development of cottage industry is essential. That is why government of developing countries like India provide incentive to cottage industries for their establishment and development. 3. Social factors. These factors consist of peace, security, cooperation, intelligence, etc. The guarantee of security and peace is necessary for the development of rural sector. Security here means social security, health security and security for their crops. This security can be given by offering them insurance facilities. As villages and rural areas are considered as backward, therefore it is necessary to impart the training so that they will be intelligent enough to make use of scientific inventions. Rural sector in India. According to 2001 census, 72.2% of population lived in about 638,000 villages and the remaining 27.8% lived in more than 5,100 towns and over 380 urban agglomerations. In 2015-16 budget, Government of India gave due attention to rural development coupled with increased allocation to farm sector. Several new initiatives have been launched. Significant resources have been provided to those rural development programs which require more money. Apart from specific allocation of rupees 79,526 crore for rural development, several initiatives and allocations for infrastructure, railways and social schemes for poor will benefit rural folks, as these investments are going to be for 60% of 1.2 billion population living in rural areas. Study of rural development. Though rural economy is defined by predominance of agriculture activities, manufacturing and services are also prevalent to some extent. Manufacturing and services are clubbed together to form non-farm sector for analytical convenience. So, the study of rural development can be made in two parts. 1. Farm sector. 2. Non-farm sector. Farm sector includes activities like agriculture, that is crop production, plantation, animal husbandry, that is milk, meat, egg, etc., forestry and logging and fishing, whereas the non-farm sector includes all other activities like agro-processing industries, wholesale and retail trading, storage and communication, transport and education, health industries and other service related activities. Rural non-farm sector plays an important role in reducing the widespread rural poverty through generation of employment and income and creation of effective demand for goods and services. The role becomes important as it can provide diverse employment opportunities to the rural people and in the process transform the rural economy in the desired direction of inclusive growth. Measures employed for rural development. To study about rural development, it is necessary to categorize rural development into two parts. 1. Agriculture development and 2. Non-agriculture development. Agriculture development. Many measures have been adopted for agriculture development. These measures can be categorized into two parts, that is technical and institutional methods. Technical methods mainly include multiple cropping, expansion of irrigation, use of fertilizers, HYV seeds, plant protection, scientific cultivation, mechanization, development of agricultural land and improvement in animal husbandry, etc. Whereas institutional methods include land reforms, improvement in agriculture marketing by putting efforts for regulated markets, cooperative marketing societies and by providing them security through the introduction of support prices and last but not the least giving them credit facilities. Causes of unsatisfactory agricultural development in India. All the factors which are responsible for unsatisfactory development in agriculture can be categorized into following parts. 1. Human factor. 2. Institutional factors. 3. Technical factors. Let us take human factors. Human factors are related to training, health and efficiency of farmers and their social traditions. Factors which are responsible for agriculture backwardness are 1. Excessive increase in population has given rise to the problem of subdivision of land, fragmentation, disguised unemployment and thus fall in the saving capacity of the farmers. 2. The conditions of small farmers, landless farmers and sharecroppers are neglected while forming plans and policies. 2. Institutional factors. Institutional factors are regarding those who actually take decisions regarding agriculture produce. Following are the factors which are included in this category. 1. Presence of defective land reforms and no concrete measures taken to implement those which are formed in 5-year plans and have led to failures in agriculture. Policies formed in respect of agriculture in 5-year plans lacked coordination. And thirdly, critics assert that till last 5-year plan, less investment has been made in agriculture. Also, whatever investment has been made in agriculture, it benefited the prosperous farmers the most. Now the technical factors. They are related to prevailing techniques of production. Following factors are considered in this category. 1. Agriculture in India depends mainly on rainfall for its irrigational requirements. Rainfall is uncertain and therefore making agricultural production uncertain. Sadly, irrigation facility is not sufficient for all the cultivable land. This poses a great deal of problem for the farmers. Secondly, Indian agriculture is still dominated by the use of old and traditional tools and implements. Thus, productivity of land does not increase and agriculture production falls short. Thirdly, farmers do not understand the importance of HYV seeds and thus does not make proper use of them. Also, the supply of these seeds is not adequate and they are expensive as well. Fourthly, farmers face a lot of problem in getting credit facilities or loans. They still depend upon local money lenders for the requirement of loans and for that they have to pay large amount of their income as interest to money lenders. Sometimes they are forced to sell their product or part of land to these money lenders, which in turn decreases their income and have an adverse effect on agriculture. Fifth, Indian farmers do not make use of adequate manure. They stick to cow dung as it is cheaper and easily available. They find chemical fertilizers to be expensive and are imported largely from foreign countries. Sixth, marketing system of Indian agriculture is defective, due to which they do not get remunerative prices for their produce. Transport facilities are not well developed, and so they sell their crops to local village trader who offers them low price. As a result, farmers are discouraged to produce more and better quality crops. All the above factors collectively are responsible for unsatisfactory performance of agriculture in India. Non-agriculture development. Non-agriculture sector or rural non-farm sector consists of all those activities which are non-agriculture and located in rural towns and small towns. Agriculture is the prime mover behind the emergence and growth of rural non-farm sector. Therefore, rural non-farm activities play an important role to provide supplementary employment to small and marginal farm households and reduce income inequalities and rural-urban migration. Rural transformation. For considerable and sustainable rural sector development, power of agriculture needs to be harnessed. To achieve this, small farmers should be given food security, environmental sustainability and economic opportunity. India should develop its own vision for agriculture which is inclusive and sustainable. India should go beyond agriculture if it wants to achieve sustainable development for rural sector. Rural India lacks in infrastructure, information, education and skills and capital at reasonable rates. It is necessary to make rural India self-reliant and less dependent on agricultural subsidies. Following are the key areas which need to be looked upon to achieve this endeavor. 1. Access to urban areas. Farmers can get better prices for their produce if they can access the market directly. The National Capital Region, that is NCR, is a very good example in this regard. Such regions are located within 50 km distance from a large city. Access to urban service has led to higher level of knowledge and new and better sources of livelihood. A rural area which does not have any access to such urban areas cannot progress as equally as areas like NCR can. 2. Technology adoption. Technology not only ensures quality of services but also equality of access to all. Some of the examples in this regard are mobile network making internet networks possible in the rural areas. A unique identification program, that is Aadhaar scheme, opening up of new avenues for delivery of service to people including e-governance, e-education, e-medicine, etc. This will enable young people to move to villages for job avenues, which in turn will halt the unplanned migration from rural to urban areas. Third, financial inclusion. Financial inclusion means providing banking services to vast sections of disadvantaged and low income group at affordable cost. This will eliminate unbearable debt for the poor by the local money lenders. It would help in building SSEs and other avenues. Fourth, education and health. Government of India over the last couple of decades has launched many policies in relation to education like right to education. State and central government has also invested in building primary schools and making primary education compulsory for children. Now, introduction of new technologies like e-education and compulsory senior secondary education is necessary and need of the hour. E-learning will transform the cost of education and quality of education. Healthcare in rural communities is another area of concern in developing countries. imparting health education for prevalent issues like maternal and child mortality, HIV, tuberculosis, and malaria is essential. Malnutrition is also common pathological condition prevalent in rural areas. Fifth, skill development. Unemployment or underemployment is another major issue of concern in rural development. With education, young people want to go beyond farming. Current educational programs do not impart sufficient skill for service-oriented economy. Therefore, appropriate skill building is crucial need for the rural economy for industries like hospitality, BPO, retail, etc. Together with new vision of agriculture, these enablers can bring prosperity to rural India. However, challenge of sustainable growth also needs to be addressed as increasing consumption is putting pressure on scarce resources. Schemes and programs launched by the government. As majority of the poor reside in rural areas, the prime goal of rural development is to improve the quality of life of the rural people by alleviating poverty through the instrument of self-employment and wage employment programs, by providing community infrastructure facilities such as drinking water, electricity, road connectivity, health facilities, rural housing and education, and promoting decentralization of powers to strengthen the Panchayati Raj institution, etc. The various strategies and programs of the government for rural development are discussed below. 1. Integrated Rural Development Program called IRDP. First introduced in 1978-79, IRDP has provided assistance to rural poor in the form of subsidy and bank credit for productive employment opportunities through successive plan periods. Subsequently, training of rural youth for self-employment called TRISEM, development of women and children in rural areas called DWCRA, supply of improved toolkits to rural areas and artisans, that is SITRA, and Ganga Kalyan Yojana, that is GKY, were introduced as sub-programs of IRDP to take care of the specific needs of the rural population. 2. Wage employment programs. Anti-poverty strategies like assistance to the rural poor families to bring them above the poverty line by ensuring appreciable sustained level of income through the process of social mobilization, training and capacity building. Wage employment programs have sought to achieve multiple objectives. They do not only provide employment opportunities during lean agriculture seasons, but also in times of floods, droughts and other natural calamities. They create rural infrastructure which supports further economic activity. It encompasses Swarn Jayanti Gram Swar Rozgar Yojana, that is SGSY, Sampurn Gramin Rozgar Yojana, that is SGRY, and National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, that is NREGA, etc. NREGA is an act of Parliament. It is not merely a scheme or policy. It aims at enhancing the livelihood, security of people in rural areas by guaranteeing 100 days of wage employment in a financial year to a rural household whose member volunteers to do unskilled manual work. The objective of the Act is to create durable assets and strengthen the livelihood resource base of the rural poor. Third, Employment Insurance Scheme, that is EAS. EAS was launched in October 1993, covering 1,778 drought-prone desert, tribal and hill area blocks. It was later extended to all the blocks in 1997-98. The EAS was designed to provide employment in the form of manual work in the lean agriculture season. The works taken up under the program were expected to lead to the creation of durable economic and social infrastructure and address the felt needs of the people. 4. Food for Work program. The Food for Work program was started in 2000-2001 as a component of EAS in 8 notified drought-affected states of Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Himachal Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Rajasthan, Maharashtra and Uttaranchal. The program aims at food provision through wage employment. Food grains are supplied to states free of cost. However, lifting of food grains for the scheme from Food Corporation of India godowns has been slow. Fifth, rural housing. Initiated in 1985-86, the IAY is the core program for providing free housing to families in rural areas. It targets scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, households and freed bonded laborers. The rural housing program has certainly enabled many BPL families to acquire pakka houses. The coverage of the beneficiaries is limited given the resource constraints. The Samagra Awas Yojana, that is SAY, was taken up in 25 blocks to ensure convergence of housing, provision of safe drinking water, sanitation and common drainage facilities. The Housing and Urban Development Corporation HUDCO has extended its activities to rural areas, providing loans at a concessional rate of interest to economically weaker section and low income group households for construction of houses. 6. Social Security Program. Democratic decentralization and centrally supported social assistance programs were two major initiatives of the government in the 1990s. The National Social Assistance Program, that is NSAP, launched in August 1995, marks a significant step towards fulfillment of the directive principles of state policy. The NSAP has three components. 1. National Old Age Pension Scheme, which is also called NOAPS. 2. National Family Benefit Scheme, that is NFBS. And C. National Maternity Benefit Scheme, that is NMBS. The NSAP is centrally sponsored program that aims at ensuring a minimum national standard of social assistance over and above the assistance that states provide from their own resources. The NOAPS provides a monthly pension of ₹75 to destitute BPL persons above the age of 65. The NFBS is a scheme for BPL families who are given ₹10,000 in the event of the death of the breadwinner. The NMBS provides ₹500 to support nutritional intake for pregnant women. In addition to NSAP, the Annapurna scheme was launched from 1st April 2000 and to provide food security to senior citizens who are eligible for pension under NOAPS but could not receive it due to budget constraints. 7. Land reforms. In an agro-based economy, the structure of land ownership is central to the well-being of the people. The government has strived to change the ownership pattern of cultivable land, the abolition of intermediaries, the abolition of zamindari, ceiling laws, security of tenure to tenants, consolidation of land holdings, and banning of tenancy are a few measures undertaken. Furthermore, a land record management system is precondition for an effective land reform program. In 1987-88, a centrally sponsored scheme for strengthening of revenue administration and updating of land records, that is SRA and ULR, was introduced in Odisha and Bihar. Rural India is a powerhouse waiting to emerge. The exciting vision has to be the convergence of rural Bharat with urban India. In order to realize this vision, we need inclusive growth. A new vision for agriculture will uplift millions of small farmers. At the same time, we need to go beyond agriculture. We need a broad-based strategy to provide rural India access to markets and technology, financial inclusion, and human capital development. Let us recapitulate what we have learned so far. Agriculture growth is critical and needs to be picked up. The apex body which is involved in the formulation of policies, regulations and acts related to development of rural sector is the Ministry of Rural Development. The rural community still retains the joint family system where the oldest male member is the head of the family who takes all the major decisions in the family. The growth of rural sector depends on topographical, economic and social factors. According to 2001 census, 72.2% of the population lived in about 638,000 villages and the remaining 27.8% lived in more than 5,100 towns and over 380 urban agglomerations. Rural non-farm sector plays an important role in reducing the widespread rural poverty through generation of employment and income and creation of effective demand for goods and services. To achieve sustainable rural development, small farmers should be given food security, environmental sustainability and economic opportunity. Rural India lacks in infrastructure, information, education and skills and capital at reasonable rates. The Food for Work program was started in 2000-2001 as a component of the EAS in 8 notified drought affected states of Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Himachal Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Rajasthan, Maharashtra and Uttaranchal.